Sauvignon is not for the old chicks. Hey, girl.
Hey, I'm so sorry, girl. I was looking for my headphones. I was like, oh
It's
my God.
okay.
What the hell?
She said my drink is for the old bitches. No, it's not.
Okay, what you drinking on? Oh my God, do I need to get something to drink?
Cabernet Sauvignon. You might want to.
I know, right? For the conversation, I'm like, Lord Jesus, I'm prepared for anything. So
I was just telling them that we have an amazing guest on today. This is Amber, you guys.
Hi,
Thank you so much for
everybody.
joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. Shout out to everybody I see who is joining that I know. I see Keisha, that's my boo thing, Jonetta. I have so many people joining. So hey y'all. Thank you for inviting me though. I'm really honored to be here.
Girl, I was actually looking forever for someone because I was like, who the hell? This is a topic I really wanted to cover.
Okay.
Because I feel like we never talk about it. I was just telling them we talk about sex all day.
Yes.
But we never talk about sexually transmitted diseases or infections.
I mean, so yeah, I'm so glad that I'm here to show up. I never thought in a million years that I would be on the internet talking about my STD, especially one that, especially herpes, right? To be completely transparent. I never thought this would be my life, but you're right. We're doing it and we're not talking about it. And so I'm really happy that I could show up and share today. So yeah, I'm excited about the conversation.
I'm excited too. So let's hop into it. Well, first of all, why don't you tell them where you're from and what you do?
Got it. So, hey, y'all, my name is Amber. I am 37. I am single, no kids. Those are my stats. Like, I'm just out here living my best millennial life. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, but I recently relocated to Port St. Lucie, Florida. So I literally came down to Florida to pursue what I do full time, which is work through Herpes Can Never. I am a certified life coach. I'm an esthetician, so I have a salon back in my hometown. And that's where I really found the love of talking and sharing with women and just having open and transparent conversations. And that's when I really realized that God gave me a gift to draw really vulnerable things out of people. And it was through me being able to just somehow share myself, what exactly I've been through. And so that's where I really got comfortable speaking with people, was through my salon that I have home. But I just know that I just love encouraging people. So I became a life coach, and that's what I do now here in Florida. We advocate for the Herpes Can Never movement full time. And I just recently started a platform called Dear Great Black Man over on TikTok, where I speak specifically to Black men and affirm them and lift them up. So that's a little bit about me. Yeah.
Love that. So Herpes Can Never, where did that even, the title, what does it mean exactly?
Right. So Herpes Can Never actually was born it's like our love child. It's half mine. And then the founder of Herpes Can Never, her name is actually Shayna Singleton. So she's the herpes goddess on TikTok. And so Shayna had been in the community advocating. She had been in the community already, bringing awareness and just having the vibes of, we're not going to let the herpes stigma keep us down. We're not gonna let the herpes stigma make us feel a type of way, right? So she would slay the stigma. And so that was her movement that she had prior to Herpes Can Never. And I actually released my YouTube video on YouTube. I released the video, Herpes Saved My Life. And I put that video on YouTube in December of 2020. And literally 1 month later, Shayna came along. She DM'd me. She slid in my DMs on Instagram and was like, hey, I see what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I'm trying to break the herpes stigma. Are you about that life? And I was just like, yes. I guess. And so we literally met on the phone. We had a meeting. We thought of some names, and she came up with Herpes Can Never, and Herpes Can Never stuck. And our mission at Herpes Can Never is to be at war with the herpes stigma. And so our community feels comfortable being open about their status and proud of their sexuality, right? So we want to help people break their internalized stigma so they don't feel the weight of what the herpes stigma can do to you. So Herpes Can Never simply means herpes can never stop you from living your best life. Herpes can never stop you from getting married if that's what you desire. Herpes can never stop you from having kids if that's what you desire. Herpes can never stop anything that you truly want for yourself. And so that's kind of, the motto that we live by.
So, and I love that. We're going to get to we're going to talk about how you came to that, because I'm sure it didn't start like that.
Absolutely not. I was at my rock bottom was on my living room floor one day after work when I was just like, okay, God, either I just want to die right now. Either just leave me here, or I can't get up off the floor the same way that I got onto the floor. And so it definitely, like I said, I can't even believe I'm doing this. This is only
I think
literally
your
God.
partner's in the comments actually.
She is.
Yes, I think you're okay. So
Yes.
let's take it back. And if you don't feel comfortable answering anything, just let me know.
Yeah. You're gonna get to know real soon. Let's talk about it. I said we was gonna give him tea. We're gonna give him tea.
All right. So I want to take it back to let's set the stage. So were you dating someone? Were you single and having fun? What was going on? And by the way, you said God, so you're a Christian, right?
Yes, I'm a Christian.
And you were always a Christian this whole time?
Yeah, I've always grown up in the Christian religion. And so, yes, I've always been a Christian, no other religion. So, but yeah, basically that was like 2018. It was summer of 2018. I was living my best life. I was single. And I say I'm living my best life, which probably just means, I was working full time. I was just, again, like I said, I don't have any children. So I'm really my only obligation. I live in a smaller town and I had my salon. So I thought I was living my best life for what all I knew it to be. But, I was single, so obviously I wasn't in a relationship. I was at a place to where the guy who I thought gave me the virus, because now I'm at the point so I understand herpes to be like, back then I just assumed, oh, he was the last person I slept with, he must have gave it to me. And that's not how herpes works. But back then I didn't realize that. So the guy that I believe gave me herpes, my narrative's kind of changed a little bit over the years, is he had been DMing me. He was fine. He was just, but he lived in Chicago. So I was just like, I got a few little local options. Like, I just, it was just keeping it at a distance or whatever. I had a little roster built up respectfully, but I'm not necessarily proud of that. But it's just like, I guess I had reached a point to where I just left the gap open enough to where I was just, we started DMing, and DMing turned into FaceTime and turned into talking. And he came to visit me. And I was just like, we didn't have sex when he came to visit me. And it was just like, I was head over heels. And I feel like we both were. But now that I'm out of it, it was definitely giving like love bombing. It was giving like 0 to 100 real quick. It was giving red flags. But I was definitely not trying to see those. I was just like, he's cute. I'm single. It's a vibe. I don't really like nobody else too much. So, that's the energy I was in. So later on that summer, I went up to Chicago, and basically we had like the best weekend ever. Like, it was just vibes. It was just like, I just couldn't wait to get up there, and we had a great time. We was at the club. Like, Jacquees randomly was in there singing happy birthday to his baby's mama, who had a section. Okay. It was just like a whole vibe the whole weekend. It was like summertime shy energy. And so basically, long story short is we had sex, and we didn't use protection. And I didn't ask for his test results. He didn't ask for mine. Like, it just went like typical feeling the vibes. Yeah. I had never asked for a guy's test results before I slept with him.
Me neither.
To be honest, like, I had thought about it. I maybe have wanted to, but I had never actually worked up the courage. I never had the confidence in myself to be able to require something like that. Oh, because I don't want him to look at me funny. Oh, I don't want him to think I'm weird, or so I never really asked. But so I didn't ask with him. We had sex. And basically, like, from that first weekend, it kind of just went downhill from there. Like, it just was obvious that I just felt hella played. Like, I felt like after he had sex with me, he got what he wanted. Yes, it was very much. Yeah, it was very much like the trajectory was downhill fast, and I was like, damn. I went up there a few more times. It wasn't just completely like that, but eventually I ended up being ghosted, essentially. So,
shout out to Jada. Yes, share this live, y'all. Share it, especially share it if you know someone dealing with this, because this can definitely help them. Go ahead.
I see the cousins in the comments. Shout out to the cousins. Shout out to the gang. I see Pamela. I see I see Freely in her piece. Manny's in the building. What's up, cousins? I love y'all. Hey, Renata. I just had to gang. Yeah, Shayna hold it down for sure. So she's amazing. Like, point blank period. That's my business wife. So long story short is we stopped talking, and I did what I do every time I stop talking to a guy, which is go to get a test. No, I go to get a test.
That's awesome. I love that.
Well, I mean, it would have been awesome if I went before, or it would have been awesome if I made him go with me and we would have went. But I went afterwards. I didn't have any physical symptoms. I didn't have any outbreaks. I was literally going off this is what I do between each guy. I go get tested to make sure I'm good. It just so happened that each time it had been negative. You know, like I told him the story. I mean, I've told before that when I dated a guy in my 20s, I got chlamydia from him. But, you know, a lot of people have had chlamydia and they'll never say it because you take some medicine and it goes away. Everybody's had chlamydia. But herpes, you know, it's not something you could take a pill and it goes away. So I had gotten negative, but I also hadn't been tested for herpes every time. Herpes is not included in your regular STD panel. And so when you get your standard results, you're looking at these negatives, okay, gonorrhea, chlamydia, trick, whatever is negative, but you're not getting HSV, which is the herpes simplex virus. You're not getting that tested, unless you have an outbreak. And you have an outbreak wherever it is on your body, you actually go and get your outbreak site tested. They'll swab it and then they'll verify whether it's herpes or not. In the case like me, where I wasn't having any symptoms, I had my blood drawn. But that's not a normal situation. I was in the military, so I go to a military hospital and they just so happen to do a full panel on me, which isn't really standard. So a lot of times you don't even realize you have herpes because you've never been tested for it.
You wouldn't even have known.
You wouldn't have even have known, right? And so I wouldn't have even have known, right? I had no symptoms. I was just going off the strength of, let me get these negative results so I can move on with a peace of mind. And then 2 days later, the doctor called me and told me that I had tested positive for something and it was HSV. And at the time, I didn't even know what HSV was. And I said, what is HSV? And she said, herpes. And I said, I have herpes? And she said, yes. And I was just like,
you hadn't even had an outbreak.
No. I have still never had an outbreak. I'm asymptomatic. I didn't even realize that you can have herpes and be asymptomatic. A majority of the herpes community does not have outbreaks. And that's a myth. That's a misconception that most people don't understand. We only look at the people, oh, when you have herpes, you have all these bumps or lesions or outbreaks all over your body. 80% of the herpes community doesn't even have outbreaks and they don't even know it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's called being asymptomatic, and it's very common. You know, a lot of people don't realize that. And so, but just because you don't have outbreaks, the stigma hits you the exact same. When she told me I had herpes, I literally wanted to die. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was just like, and so basically she called me and told me I had herpes. And after we got off, so I basically was like, okay, what's the medicine for it? Give me the medicine. I was immediately ready for the medicine because then at that point, I didn't realize that I could have herpes for 4 years at this point and not have outbreaks and be asymptomatic. But I was just waiting for my outbreak to happen at this point. Okay, she told me I have herpes. It's a matter of time before I have an outbreak. That's what I was thinking. So I don't want an outbreak. So give me the medicine. That's what I was thinking.
So her name is Shauna, your partner?
Her name is Shayna.
Shayna. So Shayna is saying in the comments, only 10 to 15% of people have herpes outbreaks. 85% of people with herpes do not know they have herpes. Now, is that HSV 2 or HSV 1 and 2?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Yes, it's HSV 1 and 2. So just, the herpes simplex virus, period.
So which one do you have?
I have HSV 2.
So what's the difference? Can you tell us?
Well, essentially the difference is where the virus is attached to where the virus is attached, like what nerve ending it's attached to. So generally attaches to two places. It's a nerve ending that's at the base of the like brain, like back here, the base of your head. And for most people, that's where HSV1 traditionally goes. And that's why most people have physical outbreaks on their lips, right? Because it's here, so it's easy to travel to their face area. But now a lot of people are getting HSV1 on their genitals because people have herpes in their mouth and they're giving people head. And then the herpes, because the virus is here, they're putting their mouth and they're transmitting it that way. And so people are having genital HSV1. But HSV2 is traditionally the nerve ending it's attached to is like in the hip area. So that's why most people have genital outbreaks. And so another myth is HSV1 is oral herpes. HSV2 is genital herpes. It's not that cut and dry. You can have either strand anywhere on your body.
So I've been doing a lot of research, and here's my thing is in doing my research about herpes specifically, I found it to be really difficult. Time that I would look for STDs, it would be like HIV, syphilis, and chlamydia and gonorrhea, but there wasn't a lot about herpes. So
Yes.
I'm a little confused still, and that's why I'm happy
Yes.
you're here. Is HSV1, is that like what cold sores is, or?
Traditionally, yes. Cold sores is herpes. It's HSV1. So yeah, the sacral ganglion is where HSV2 is generally attached. The trigeminal ganglion, which is up here, is where HSV1 usually it's in your nervous system. So HSV is not in your blood, it's in your nervous system. It's a virus, right? And so just like they say, like chicken pox and shingles and other, which are true, which are other viruses, HSV1 and HSV2 are just the most common ones that, we transmit as humans back and forth to each other.
So in the beginning, you said you're 37. When did this happen? What age were you?
I was 33.
33. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now you found out that you got herpes.
Mm-hmm.
You said you felt like you wanted to die.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do after that? What was the first thing you did? I'm sure you were pissed off at the last person you had sex with because you thought it was him.
Yeah, absolutely. So and yeah, Shayna's in the comments dropping facts. So thank y'all for everybody. I also have some people follow me as well. So thank y'all for the follows. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Shayna.
Thank you, Shayna. Yeah, that's how it goes down. Like that's amazing. Thank you, Shayna. And thank you to all the cousins. I see y'all. So basically the first thing I did was tell my twin sister. And so, I have a twin sister. She actually works at the salon with me. So at the time I was at work, like I get this call at work. I'm on my lunch break, or I'm just like I might have stepped out to take a client. It was just like, so I told my sister, and she was just like so sad for me, but also like very much still there for me and reassuring me that it was going to be okay. Like she was just like, damn, like this sucks. You're going to be okay, but this sucks. Like, I can't even imagine what you're feeling. So I did that. I told my two best friends also, right? I text them, I said, this Raggedy. And then I always have nicknames for all the guys that I talk to. So his nickname just happened to be Chicago, which wasn't that. I was like, Chicago gave me herpes. Listen, Chicago gave me herpes.
And I've been wanting a Chicago nigga, so.
It took me like 3 years to go back to Chicago after that shit. I just went back for my birthday last year. I was like, you're not going to make me hate Chicago. I love this city too much. I am going back to Chicago, but it had to be a few years. So I told my two best friends, I text them, and one of them responded back, I have herpes too. I had no idea. We had no idea. And at that moment, I felt comforted, but then I also was like, damn, like she never told us. Like she was sitting with that alone herself, and we were close. We were best friends. So my best friend's in the comments. She's laughing. Yeah, boo thing. Look, I almost couldn't go back. I was like, oh, but I told them, and so basically I was then the shame. Because she didn't feel comfortable sharing it with us. And so I just had to, I was sad, point blank period. I was sad. I had the thoughts that I was never going to get married. I was never going to have any kids. Like I just went into this depression, and I was there. I don't know how long I was there. I was there. And then, so I end up calling him, because we wasn't even talking. Like we had not even been talking, but I did call him, and I snapped, and I was like, you gave me herpes. Oh my God, like I went off, and he was like, Amber, like, oh my God. He was like, I didn't do this on purpose. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't even know I had it. Like, or I don't know what's going on, because we went from not speaking at all to me calling him, cussing him out, telling him out he gave me herpes. So he was at work too. He was like, I mean, can I at least call you when I get off? I was like, I don't know. Figure it out at this point. I don't know what you can do. You can't do shit for me right now. I literally called him at work.
Now, when you did get herpes, right? So I'm a person, I did have a whole phase in my early 20s. I'm not gonna lie. After that, I was very prudish, I guess my friends kind of call me. So at the time that you got herpes, would you consider yourself to have been promiscuous or no? Like, were you just
I see, the thing is, in my sheltered, like, pitiful mind, I don't know what the hell I thought I was. I never thought I was promiscuous, because I was like, I'm only having sex with one person at a time. It's okay. using no condoms, not requiring STD results. They could be within days or weeks or months of each other. But because I wasn't out here being a hoe, I never, so no, I wouldn't, I probably hadn't had sex in over a year since when I slept with him. Like, it had been a long time. I've had several 1 year, a year and a half, 2 year, like droughts, essentially, periods where I don't go having sex. But then it's like, when I do finally decide to start having sex, I do it irresponsibly as hell, require no test results, and you know what I'm saying, just end up out here bad. So like, it just went to show me that literally herpes does not discriminate. It's for anybody. And again, it's not a bad thing. It's just a matter of fact.
So at that time, you cussing him out. What after that?
So basically, you know, we had a few more conversations, and I don't even know how many times I've said this publicly, and because a part of me probably wanted to forget that I thought this, but we probably talked that time, and then maybe later that night, and then that kind of opened the door of the communication, because now I've told you that you have herpes, I have herpes, and I don't know, we started talking again lightly. It wasn't a lot, but in my mind, I was like, okay, well, if he still will deal with me or have sex with me, I'll still deal with him. Like, in what delusional world I was living in, wherever, like, I don't even know why, but that's how bad I felt. I really felt like nobody was gonna want me, which is so far from the truth.
1 second. So Dej, I do see your question. We're gonna get to that later on, but if you guys have any questions, send it in the little question box at the bottom, the little question bubble, so that I really see it. But we're gonna talk about that later on. But so you're talking to him, you're thinking nobody's gonna want you. So in your mind, you're like, well, I have to make it work with this guy, right? Because he's the one who gave me the herpes. And so now we're just gonna have herpes together.
And even though there were hella red flags, even though he drank too much, I didn't like that. Even though he wasn't a clean person, I didn't like that. Even though he didn't really have a relationship with his family, I didn't like that. Red flag after red flag after red flag, but I was literally considering just dealing with it because we both have herpes. So basically, long story short is, you know, I will never know if he really gave me herpes because I did not see his test results before we had sex, point blank period. So I can't be sure it was him. But that's just when I found out. I found out in 2018 after I got done dealing with him. So, you know, so basically him and I stopped talking. Like, okay, whether he gave it to me or not, I'll never know. And that's another question I get asked all the time, or I used to get asked all the time. Do you know? Do you think they knew? Do you think he knew?
Yes. So actually, right before I did this live, one of my friends told me that she heard or read that you can have herpes for 6 years and not know.
You can have herpes you could, what Shayna just said, herpes can lie dormant in your body for decades. You can have herpes for years and not know. And this is why people are married, like, are 10 years into a marriage and somebody has an outbreak and the partner thinks that the other person's cheating, when in all actuality, you might have had herpes this whole time and you don't know. Wow. Like, literally, that's how crazy it is.
Freely in her piece said, I hate when people only want to date me because we both have herpes. And I know you did a video about that. Like,
yeah, very common. I'm not interested. No, thank you. Like, I say.
But at this point in your story, you're trying to make it work with this guy, because I would feel that way too. I'm not going to lie to you. I would feel like, who's going to
lot of people do.
I have to make it work with this guy. Like,
I have to make it work with him. It got to be this. Like, and that's the problem of dating when you're stigmatized. That's the problem when dating when you're not healed. And when you get diagnosed with herpes, you're stigmatized. The stigma hits you in one way or another, whether it's immediate, whether it's a little bit later down the line when you were ready to start dating again, because some people are in relationships when they find out, so they don't have to immediately, but like not in bad ones, right? Like, I was trying to force something, but some people might be in happy relationships, or at least decent ones that they aren't trying to get out of, but that your diagnosis will keep you in something that might have an expiration date on it, because you don't want to ever eventually have to disclose to anyone new, which is dangerous. So I stopped talking to him, but I was still so sad about it. I told very few people. I told my twin sister. I told my best friends, my two best friends at the time. I texted to them, like, but, you know, and I might have sporadically told people here and there. I did start disclosing to guys. I did start talking to guys in my local area, or just even on friend levels, and told them, and got mixed reviews. But I was very much still embarrassed, ashamed, and sad about the fact that I had it. Like, I literally felt, yeah, I felt less than.
So when you say you got mixed reviews, these were just friends that you were cool with, and what were they saying? What were the
Some were cool, some were friends, and some were like guys that I was actually talking to, right? Some are like interested in talking to, like whether I met them online at the time I was online dating, not anymore, like whether I met them just in real life. So like some were platonic friends and some were guys who were interested in me like romantically. And mixed reviews means some were like, okay, like that's cool, whatever. Like, and some were like, we can be cool, but that's basically it. Like basically like close the door on anything romantic or sexually.
So Asia with that, shout out to Asia. She said, did he ever get tested? So after you called him, cussing him out, did he go get tested? No.
I don't know. I don't know. But a lot of times, and that is very common, a lot of times, like when I hear women found out the fact that they have herpes, they'll go tell the guy who they think they got it from, and the guy will never end up getting tested, or they'll never get a definitive answer. That is very common. So I never got a definitive answer.
Interestingly enough, on my Facebook, I was promoting our conversation, and two girls who worked at like Planned Parenthood or whatever, they said a lot of people don't want to get tested. They'll like refuse to get tested because they don't want to know.
Very common.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they don't want to know. They don't want to know. Yeah, it's like ignorance is bliss. So you think, no, it's not. It really isn't. That is like, and you want to avoid anybody who refuses to get tested, you don't want to have sex with. That needs to be your standard. Everybody on the live, like that is my standard from here on out. From that point forward, when I reached that up, made it up in my mind, I require to see test results. And if you think I'm weird or you will not show me yours, then we're not going to be having sex.
We're not compatible. That's all.
We're not. It's not. Yeah, it's a no for me.
Exactly. So now, after all of this, first of all, I want to know from your girlfriends. Like from your girlfriends, what was the response? Like,
oh, they were super supportive. They were like, they were just like, it's going to be okay. What do you need? Or, let's talk about it. I had really positive responses from friends. But I was grateful for it, but I still felt like, yeah, but you don't understand. Like you hear me and you're here for me, but you don't know what it feels like to be the one diagnosed. And to my one friend who actually did get diagnosed, I'm like, yeah, she understands, which is why she never told us, because it's so shameful. It's so embarrassing. It's so like, you feel so isolated, like nobody can relate. You just feel like you just like sink into this place inside of yourself where it's just like, I feel so far away and so disconnected. So that's, they were supportive, but it was a me thing.
Which leads me to my next question, because my mother is a pastor, so I was raised in the Christian faith as well. And I also have my father's side too, same, very strong. So how was the response from your family?
Well, a lot of my family didn't find out about my herpes until I told you to. Like my mom, my dad, like my family did not find out about my herpes until I made a YouTube video about it. And so I can't even say, like, I don't even know. Nobody's really responded to it even to this day. It's just kind of like Amber's on the internet talking about her herpes. Amber's on the internet talking about herpes. I mean, they support me, but it's just like, they're like, what? But like they support. My dad is funny, his response, but I don't even put his business out there. Everybody's like, my mom, like everybody's pretty supportive. Like it's just, they don't know what to do. But my pastor's uber supportive. Like he's like, yes, like he's with it. He loves what I do. He encourages me. Like, yeah. So yeah, that's how my family reacted. And I had to reach a point the day before I put my video on YouTube. I reached a point where I was like, okay, if tomorrow it's just me and God, if my family don't understand, if my friends, nobody's friends with me no more, if my clients stop coming to me because they don't want me to touch them because I have herpes, like all these things went through my mind. I was like, no matter what happens, God has given me such a peace with this that I can literally be okay with this. And that's how I know I can do it. That's how I know I'm okay. Like, and I reached that point. And so I was willing to lose anybody in my present. And I was also willing to lose anything in the future that really wasn't supposed to be mine, because once I tell the world I have herpes, the world's gonna know I have herpes. But I was so okay with that.
I love that. That just gave me goosebumps.
Girl.
Well, first of all, you already given me a lot of knowledge that I did not know. And
Good.
one thing that is very surprising is that they don't test for herpes, just with the regular testing.
Right.
And Shayna
Go ahead.
actually commented that the CDC is like against testing for herpes, or like, what's that about?
The only thing that I could really attribute it to is that herpes is so common and it's so easily spread because it's skin to skin, right? And when you're having sex, it's transmitted skin to skin contact. That's how the virus is transmitted. Where the person's outbreak site is, or where the virus has entered their body, that site has to touch another person's like open skin. So whether you have like a cut on your hand, because a lot of people have herpes on their fingers, it's called herpetic whitlow. Or a lot of people have herpes on their feet, on their, thighs, on their butt, on their, arm. It's not just on your genitals. Like, it's not just on your mouth. Herpes can be anywhere you have skin.
So this is the vibe that I'm getting. The vibe that I'm getting is that this was one of those diseases that Big Pharma used to like scare people.
Yes.
Into like, you know what I mean?
Stigmatize people.
To
buy antivirals.
To get these medications. There were medications.
Yeah, antivirals. Yeah.
So there were these medications that they were trying to sell. So this is like a big epiphany for me because, I watch a lot of documentaries on Big Pharma, and it's just amazing to me how they use media and everything to like scare people into buying these medications, or you know what I'm saying, like thinking that diseases are worse than they are. So this is,
you're exactly right. You're exactly right, which is why I believe the CDC, why they really don't test for it, because it's so common and it's so it's not really harmful that it's almost like, okay, it's herpes. Like, it's so just matter of fact that's really why, right?
Because the reason I asked you about cold sores is because, you guys, you can actually get cold sore. Your children can have cold sores.
Yes.
Because they've come in contact with that. So
many children have herpes that's non-sexually transmitted. Yes. You can get your herpes at daycare from another kid. Like, so it's so common. Like, yes, you're spot on with that.
Yes. Okay. So how did you even get to the point? I know you said like, you were like, I'm not going to let this ruin me. I'm not going to let this stop me from living my life. But what made you actually get to that point? What it really was, I'm like, what was it? But it was the fact that I got diagnosed in 2018. I became a life coach in 2019. So this was in my season of rebuilding, working on myself. I had just literally sat myself down. I had looked at myself and I had started saying affirmations to myself. I looked at myself in the mirror and just really confronted who I was, right? Before herpes, I thought I was confident. I thought I was secure. You couldn't tell me I wasn't secure before herpes. I was shaped like this. I was light skinned. I had long hair. I had no kids. I got a job. I got money. I got this. I got that. You couldn't tell me I just wasn't the shit. But when I got herpes, I was like, all that was gone. What everybody thought I was now gone because I have herpes now. So that cancels out all the stuff that everybody thinks you are. And so I really got to deal with the fact that I didn't even know who I was. I didn't love myself. I wasn't confident. I literally was just who everybody made me feel I was. And that was a reality that I had never realized until I got herpes, until I had to address myself and deal with the fact that I felt so down and bad about myself. So I was working through my issues and I decided to become a life coach again, because I have been talking to clients at my salon and I just really loved talking to people and helping them. And I wanted to get certified. Like, I wanted to do it right. So I got certified and I was signing up on this life coaching website to like put myself out there or whatever to get clients. Well, they make you select topics that you want to talk about. You can only select 3. And I was looking at all the topics and right in the middle of the topics was herpes. And I was like, wow. At this time, not that many people knew I had it, just my best friends, my sister, like still nobody really in my hometown. And I see herpes. So I call my twin sister. I'm like, Autumn,
I'm signing up for the site, and one of the topics is herpes. Do you think I should sign up and coach for it? She was just like, yes. It was just like so quick. The response was like, yes. I was like, hold on, but I was gonna, I was hoping you would tell me like, oh, think about it for a while. She was like, maybe you don't know if he was gonna think.
You were trying to have somebody talk you out of it. Is what you wanted.
It was the quickest yes ever. I was like, all right, I guess I'm signing up. F it. Like, I guess I'm signing up. And then, but I really felt like God was just like, okay, like, so I signed up for it. So I started coaching. I started booking clients immediately. And I kept on hearing so many women's stories that were so similar to mine about how the stigma made them feel so bad, about the shame, about the embarrassment. I just kept on hearing the stories, and I related to them so much to where it was helping me. I was helping them through, God was just using me to help them, but they were also helping me so much, make me realize there were so many people who looked like me, who were just like me, who felt like me. Yes.
Well, that was really, so I actually wanted to make it a point out to have someone you're Black, right?
Yes. Absolutely. I
wanted to have someone young, Black, and beautiful, like someone that we can all relate to. Like,
yes.
Yo, if it could happen to her, yeah, it can happen to anybody.
And we make this look good, okay? I ain't gonna hold you.
I'm happy that you mentioned your shape though, because y'all, she got body.
Oh my God.
Back there.
Don't do it. Okay, do it. Okay, girl. I appreciate it.
I was also happy that you had a body, because after you've been diagnosed with herpes and you go out, I know mad dudes are trying to holler at you. You know what I'm saying? So after you were diagnosed with herpes and men were coming up to you in clubs or wherever you were at, like, how did you feel? Like, what was your response to them?
I was like, please nobody talk to me, because eventually I'm going to have to tell you I have herpes. Like, that was the energy I was given. I was not ready. I was not ready for a while, but I still wanted though. I still wanted it. So I would entertain a few, a few would get through the cracks. Maybe not a guy I met at the club, but maybe like a friend of a friend or somebody like who was like a little warm lead situation. It wasn't a total stranger. And even then the overwhelming feeling was always, eventually I'm going to have to tell him I have herpes. Like, that was just sitting in the back of my mind for so long until I went public. Like, literally until that was really that was sent me over the edge.
So you didn't date before you went public?
I did date before I went public. It was just, I was still stigmatized. Like, I was still to a degree embarrassed.
Let's talk about that. Your first time dating after your diagnosis.
So the first time dating after my diagnosis was a dude. He ended up, now he makes my YouTube videos. Like, we're completely platonic, like, because we never had sex, because after I told him I had herpes, he wasn't interested anymore. But instead of us stop talking at all, we realized we still had common interests and we still could be cool, and we've maintained a friendship. And now he runs my YouTube, like he does my YouTube videos. Like, and so that's the importance of being able to disclose. That's the importance of loving yourself enough so when somebody rejects you, you don't cut them off or hate them or just think they're the worst person ever, right? Everybody has the choice to choose if they want to date you or continue to pursue you like that. And so I never took it personal, or I was never mad like I didn't understand when somebody didn't, accept me. My herpes diagnosis, I never was like, oh, I don't understand. It was more of a self-worth issue with myself. It was because I felt like, okay, this is exactly why they didn't, because I'm not enough. Like, no, you can say no, but I still know that I'm enough. That's the difference now. That's the difference.
So he was your first time dating after your diagnosis, and did you accept the date and then tell him on the date, or did you tell him before the date? Like, how did this even come out?
We probably went on a few dates, and then I texted to him. I remember I texted him and say, I have something to talk to you about. And then he called me and I was crying. Like, I started crying, like, something to tell you, like, oh my God. Like, and he was just like, okay. And I was like, I have herpes. And it was like a long pause. And then he was just like, okay. Like, we still like talked. And then like after that, his energy like changed. Like, it was just like, I just felt like the cord was cut. But again, we were able to like at least talk through it. And that's what, you know, I don't know if that's the life coach in me to just have that ability to be able to like work through some things. But logically, what you have to do is just, separate. If someone decides not to date you because of your herpes, it's not you. Like, it's a them decision. And don't take it personal. And that's a big thing. And so even guys after that, I would disclose too, but they would still be filled with tears. Like, I would still be crying until even the guy that ended up being my boyfriend. So these were just casual randoms. But then I finally, like, I got diagnosed in like August or September. July of that next year, I met my boyfriend who I dated for like a year. And we had unprotected sex.
I be going years without a dude.
Girl, no, this was actually my first like boyfriend in some years. The other guys were just people I was sleeping with. Like, they were not my boyfriend, but this was my boyfriend. And when I told him, I was crying still, but he like, it was on some like Tyler Perry movie, Medea, like not Medea, but just Tyler Perry, very much like, Amber, you've already been through enough hurt. I don't care about that. Like, I love you, girl. Like, it was given like I was like, oh my God, this is my husband, y'all. I'm gonna marry him. Did you see this? Like, I was.
Wait, how old was he?
Like 34. Like, we were the same age.
He was kind of young, and he was from down south.
He was from Washington, D.C. He was from Virginia, but he lived in Washington, D.C. Yeah, and so we met. He came into my hometown for a basketball tournament. He was a coach, and so we met that weekend. And I told him about a month and a half in. I had went there to visit him. Did I tell him on the phone maybe? No. I went there to visit him. He asked me to be his girlfriend. The first time I went there, he asked me to be his girlfriend by the end of the weekend. And I was like, oh my God, yes. But we didn't have sex or anything. And then I came back to Louisville and I was like, I can't be his girlfriend. And this man don't know I have herpes. So I hadn't told him before then because we weren't having sex. And so that's another thing. You don't have to tell everybody you're dating you have herpes. Like, you don't. Okay.
So let's stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys weren't having sex. Were you kissing? Like, what was the intimacy?
Yeah, we were kissing. We were hugging. We were touching.
You couldn't transmit it through kissing because you don't have it
orally.
You have it, okay. Genital.
So I have it. I don't have it orally or genitally. I just have the virus in my body. So that's another thing, a caveat about being asymptomatic. When you're asymptomatic, that's the thing. You don't exactly know where you would transmit the virus from. Like, I don't know where I could transmit the virus. And that's the gray area, because for everybody asymptomatic, it's different. But the only way you can transmit herpes by kissing is if your outbreaks are orally or around your mouth. And so you cannot, that's how you can transmit it. But we were kissing.
Is that only during an outbreak?
No. So that's during an outbreak, and that's also not during an outbreak as well. You can transmit the virus whenever. So you're more susceptible at transmitting it when you're having an outbreak, because that means your virus is shedding. You're going through viral shedding. And so even in the asymptomatic community, because we have the virus in our body, the virus still sheds. And so you can't see the shedding. You can't feel the shedding. It's just a term that just basically that just means your virus replicates essentially at different points of the year, like influxes, different points of the year, your virus sheds. And so that's when you're more likely or more able to transmit the virus.
So Shayna in the comments, she said, people don't go around saying they're 300K plus in debt on the first few dates.
Yeah, just basically saying that, most time you're not going to show up on the first date or the second date bearing, like, here's my heaviest piece of, like, baggage, right? I have herpes. Like, you're not about to tell nobody that until, like, for me, I recommend telling it when your intentions behind it are right and when you're confident in your disclosure. I don't want you to be telling people on the first date to try to weed people out, or telling people on the second date to try to test them and see, how real are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't use it as a test. Talk about it when you're having a dialogue about sex. Hey, when's the last time you've been tested? Have you ever had any STDs? We grown out here. We in our 30s, or even in your 20s, even in your teens, we grown. If you're having sex, hey, when's the last time you've been tested? Have you had any STDs? If somebody makes you feel uncomfortable for talking about it, you're talking to the wrong person. And so it's a dialogue. And that's what we, when we have herpes, we think, I gotta prepare this speech and tell you about my herpes. No, we have to have a dialogue.
freely in her piece, she said, I've been disclosing all wrong then. So when
she knows that. She knows that. Exactly.
Right off the bat. So now,
exactly.
So now let's go. So this guy asked you to be his girlfriend. You said yes.
Yes.
And then you realize, oh shit, I have not told this man that I have herpes.
Yeah. And so I told him.
Right there?
Oh, well, I told him, like, you know, when I got back home, I was scared to tell him when he asked me to be his girlfriend. I enjoyed that plane ride home. I was like, yes, yes. Like, I really liked him. That was daddy. That was the first dude I had posted on my Instagram in like 4 years. That was daddy. that was daddy. No, yeah. So, and he was giving, like, very much, like I said, Tyler Perry when I did tell him. Like, he was just like,
sorry, y'all, I got lipstick on my teeth.
Girl, these braces catch everything. When I say he was just very supportive, he was like, it's all good. I don't care. Like, he, like, literally, he didn't make me feel bad about it at all. But in hindsight, I realized that after I told him, we really never talked about it again. Like, he didn't make me feel a type of way, but it was almost like we talked and then we never talked about it again. And that's really common too, that I hear a lot when people say they disclose to people, is that after that initial conversation and someone says yes, you move forward, there's no more. Because usually the person who has herpes is scared to say anymore because, like, I'm walking on eggshells, or I don't want to add, you know, make it a little bit even more uncomfortable in the person who doesn't have herpes. So they think, or maybe they don't, I don't know. But it's just like, I mean, shit, I don't know what to say about it. So I'm not going to say anything about it either. And so disclosure is not a one-time conversation. Like you should be having regular talks about sex to the people you're having sex with. And if you're in, like, relationships, if you're dating, if you're engaged, if you're married, you know, your partner should be familiar with your outbreak site. Your partner should be okay with, you know, getting you anything you need for your outbreak. Or you should be okay with, be like, babe, like, look at this, or help me with this. As a person with herpes, we have to be more confident and comfortable to help our partners feel that way too.
So he accepted this?
Yes, he accepted this. Yeah, okay. He definitely was cool with it.
We have a question from Asia with us. I was getting to that, Asia. But she wants to know, how did the sex life go? So he accepted it. Mm-hmm. After they accept it, do you have a conversation about, like, how you can have sex? Or
yes, okay. yes, you should, right? You should. It should be one, because, you know, I, like, before my herpes diagnosis, I always felt, not always, majority of the time, I felt like I was getting the short end of the stick sexually. Like, I always felt like I left sex with the guy getting more than me. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so you know, my herpes diagnosis put me in a place to where I didn't want that anymore. I'm not gonna half-ass show up for myself in that way. You know, if I'm having sex with you, I'm getting my needs met as well. We're not gonna not do something because I have herpes and you're scared of my herpes. No, then you're not gonna be having sex with me. Like, I can understand you have questions, concerns. I can understand you want to, you know, and we gonna work through this together. But what we not gonna do is, I'm not gonna get head because you're scared of my herpes, or we ain't gonna do this because I have herpes.
Pause it right there. So, and by the way, if the last guy that I had sex with, that was very pleasing, sir. So, you know, I'm not talking about you when I raised my hand that time. That was a very pleasing experience.
But you know, you can relate though to the history though.
I can relate to that though. But Shayna said a lot of us wasn't taught healthy sex practices outside of condoms and getting tested for yourself. Yes. So I think that's very true. First of all, like, sex education in schools lacking tremendously amongst everything else.
All right.
But so like you said, I love that you mentioned that it's so funny because you weren't getting your satisfaction, and yet you still ended up with this sexually transmitted disease.
Yep.
And so at this point, you're like, bitch, if I'm not getting this, I'm going to get mine.
I swear. No, for real though.
So when you guys talked about having sex, so how was it? Like, did you guys use condoms? I don't know what specifically you have to do with herpes.
Right.
Let us know. Tell us.
So basically, yeah, like, the best way to manage your herpes when you are having sex is, you know, cover the outbreak site. So where your outbreak site is, whether a lot of times, you know, that's why you can still get herpes with wearing the condom, because the condom only covers but so much of the body. And so anywhere, if a guy has an outbreak on his inner thigh, on the top of his, you know, genital area, you know, wherever he might have it that's not covered with a condom, he could still transmit herpes to somebody, because it's where that skin touches the skin of, you know, the person that he's sleeping with, whether that's the back side, front side, left side, right side, wherever that point makes contact. And so practicing safe sex with herpes looks like covering your outbreak site, looks like, you know, again, communicating to your partner when you're having prodrome symptoms, or you feel like your outbreak is coming on, or you're not feeling well. It's just about being open and comfortable with communicating. And that's what him and I did, right? Like we were open and communicative. We did use condoms in the beginning. And then by the end of our relationship, we were not using condoms. We had okay, all the sex.
Wait, because I'm a little confused.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you said cover where you have an outbreak, but you don't have outbreaks.
Right. Exactly. So you can't really cover that. So I was speaking for the community who knows where their outbreak site is in, you know, trying to reduce transmission. Those are one of the ways you can help reduce transmission. If you don't know where your outbreak site is, or if you're asymptomatic, it's kind of like, yeah, you're just going to accept what comes along, what could possibly come along with it. However, you know, after him and I dated, he did get tested and he tested negative. So
basically you guys got to a stage where it was like, I guess you educated him enough on the disease that it was like, well, he understood more about it and was like, mm-hmm. well, you know, yeah. It kind of is what it is.
Yes.
Miss Kryptonite said, so can you get head now?
Oh yeah, I could get head then. I could get head now. I could get head left to the right. No, I'm just saying. I swear. You can't. I swear. Dear future husband, hurry up. I'm not playing. Like, yes, you can. So, you can.
Teasy, I'm gonna read your question, but next time drop it in the little question box. What about guys, or does any of this apply for us too?
Everything I just said applies to you too. Literally everything, right? It doesn't, HSV and the virus does not discriminate. So everything I said, if you have a specific question, you can ask.
Sorry.
Girl.
So I live in the hood. I've been breathing. We all got our air conditioners on and the electricity just went out. So I heard my neighbor, like, you know,
hollering.
But it came back.
I was like, I knew something was wrong. It was like the spinning. I was like, Lord, what? Oh my God.
Oh my God, what's going on? Of course, of all days today. But anyways, I'm so happy like I did it back. That was so ghetto.
And that's hilarious.
my little ghetto building.
No, girl, it's all good. Thank you so much for saying to pop back on. Like, I have no problem. I know we're going to finish the conversation and just answer any more questions that we had. I'm hoping the people jump back on. Oh yeah, they're jumping back on.
They came back on.
Yes. Hey y'all.
So
to the cousins.
All right. So
I'm trying to figure out where I was.
We were at. You started this relationship and
yes.
Can you get head? That was the last question.
Yes. So yeah, I was like, basically yes. I was getting all the head. We reached the point to where, I mean, when you're asymptomatic, you just have the energy where, again, even if you have outbreaks, you really only want to sleep with someone who would be okay with getting herpes. Like, in the point blank period. I mean, like they might not ever. You could date them for years and they never get it, or they could eventually get it. So if a person is not willing to sleep with you, knowing that is a possibility, then you might not be getting everything you want out of the situation. I just feel like I know during my early disclosures, when the people that were cool with it, I would have sex with them almost as like a thank you for saying you're okay with this. Or now that you said you were okay with this, we can just go ahead and get right to it because that's what I normally do anyway, is have sex. And so, and it wasn't until after I'd done that a few times, I was just like, yeah, no. And so if, you know, me and my ex, we had sex like two people who didn't have an STD, whatever the fuck that looks like. We had a open relationship with each other, but I'm saying he did not like make me feel any type of way about the fact that I had it.
So freely in her piece, she said, when I got diagnosed, I was in a relationship and all. He wanted to know if he was allowed to still lick the kitty.
That's what all the guys ask.
Really?
Or girls ask. Or girls ask. Yeah, girls ask that. And I don't know if guys ask if they could still get head a lot. But yeah, head's a really popular topic. I might make an ebook on head. No, seriously, because it's really popular. The short answer is yes. Like, I don't want to like drag it out. Yes, you can. And like are
there any like, because I know they have the female condoms. Like, are there
Yes, dental dams. Right. So dental dams are what primarily is going to be used, right? Even if you have genital herpes, if you have oral herpes, right? Like, okay, let's get down into it. If you have oral herpes and you're giving a female oral sex, as long as she has a dental dam, which basically is a thin, I think it's like polyurethane, basically that's placed on the areas. They have dental dam panties. They have flavored dental dams, and it's basically a barrier between your tongue and your mouth and the genital area. It's still very much like you can still feel all the sensation, and it's a way where your partner you both feel safe and comfortable until you work yourself into a place to where you still feel comfortable and safe even without those barriers in place.
Well, that's my biggest question, because I understand you're saying that you guys got to a place where it was unprotected sex.
Yeah.
And unprotected oral sex, right?
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But what made him, like, do you even know? Did you ask him, like, what made him okay with doing that? He just didn't care about possibly contracting it?
I think he thought he was going to be with me so much. Like, he thought we were going to be together to where he didn't care what came between me and him. And herpes wasn't going to be the thing that was going to stop us from being together. And if we were going to be together, he wasn't going to be afraid of me sexually and vice versa, because I guess he's like, that's not fulfilling for either one of us. So I think that was more so of what it was with him. Like, we genuinely liked each other. So then
I think
that's what I think.
You guys did break up though, right?
Yeah, we broke up ultimately for nothing that had to do with herpes. We broke up because he had some healing and growing to do, and he had some baby mama issues, respectfully, right? And some boundary issues, like, and that had nothing to do with him, like, you know, me. And ultimately, you know, that's why, you know, like, any guys that it don't work out with me now, I'm such at a place now where I'm just like, objectively, I see why it doesn't work out. So I'm not as bitter or as upset or, you know, frustrated as I would have been before my diagnosis. I have a lot more understanding of myself that I did not have before I had herpes, because having herpes makes you think about your decisions. It makes you contemplate why you do what you do or why you don't do or show up the way. It just makes you get to know yourself in a way that I did not have this, you know, perspective of myself prior to.
Now, are you guys still in contact? Do you know if he has it or?
Yeah, so he never got herpes. The thing is, he never got HSV-2, but he does have HSV-1. He has HSV-1 and didn't even know it until he got tested after the fact, trying to see if he had got HSV-2, right? And so here's another thing. HSV-1 can never turn into HSV-2. HSV-2 can never turn into HSV-1, right? So HSV-1 is HSV-1 and HSV-2 is HSV-2. You can have both viruses at one time, but you're not going to start with one and it turns into two. That's not how it works. So he ended up having HSV-1.
I know earlier you were saying that we're seeing a lot of cases where people have HSV-1 on their genitals because of oral sex. So
right.
Why is that still considered HSV-1 if it's on their genitals?
It's just because that's what virus it is. It just happens to be on the genitals. A lot of like misconception around herpes is that HSV-2 is genital, and HSV1 is oral, which is just not true.
Okay, so yeah, that's
that's most people's understanding, right? And you really don't know unless you're in the community, or you definitely know if you're a person who has genital HSV1, because we're seeing so many more of the cousins. We call our community our cousins, joining our Facebook group and sharing that they have genital HSV1.
So Dej just sent us a question. Her question is, can you automatically pass it to someone when having sex, or is it just a chance? Like, what is the percentage of chance?
Right. So it's not automatic. It's only ever falls on the scale of a chance. The chances are much more likely when you are having an outbreak. So we suggest avoiding sex during outbreaks, or, finding other ways of intimacy and pleasure outside of your outbreak site when you're having sex. If you want to do anything at all, you might not want to be bothered at all physically in that way. You might just want to cuddle. You might just want to do other types of, you might just want to massage, or I don't know. But that's when you're most likely to transmit the virus, and it falls on a scale from there, right? Going down to 0.1%. And so that's kind of the scale it falls on, but it's not an automatic, as soon as we have sex, I'm transmitting the virus to you. No.
Hey, Shayna. Yeah, we're back. My building, all our electricity went off. It's summertime. Everybody got their AC running, and I'm in the hood.
Shayna, I was going to say, she probably ain't got no pants on, Lord. She's literally in the other room. She's my roommate.
So, Dej, she's your roommate?
Yes, we live together. She's my business partner.
You don't want to come on?
Yeah, exactly.
She doesn't want to come on? No?
She probably doesn't. But she might. I don't know. She might. Yeah, no clothes. She ain't got no clothes on.
I like that too. When I'm at home, no clothes. No.
It's literally, we be waking up at 5 a.m. So our beds. Okay, we know you're naked. Lord have mercy.
Dej said, okay, so Dej said, but you can still pass it on even if you're not in an outbreak.
Yes. There is a possibility that you can.
I like this question because initially you said, when I found out I had herpes, I'm like, I'm never going to get married.
She's literally naked. Yes. So she just came out.
Oh my God, it went away. But Maya, I think it was Maya, she said, so how does herpes work when you want to get pregnant?
So basically, herpes really only affects your pregnancy if you have genital herpes, if you actually have genital herpes. So if you have outbreaks on your genital area, and if that's the case, when you reach a certain point in your pregnancy, and that's why it's so important to, feel comfortable to talk to your OB, talk to your doctor, and tell them that you do have herpes, because sometimes they might not even test you. They may or may not, or they may not even ask. So it's important that you let your doctor know that you have herpes, because once you reach a certain point in your pregnancy, the doctor's going to start prescribing you antivirals so you can begin to take, so that you can have a vaginal delivery, which most people who have herpes still have vaginal deliveries, right? It's only if you're having an outbreak at the time of your delivery might you need to have a C-section, because again, where your outbreak site is, when the baby comes through and comes out, it can make contact with that site. And that's, a baby's immune system is not built to handle a virus as mature as herpes. And that's why it can be fatal.
So even though it's in your nervous system, it can't be transmitted to your child?
Correct. Your child will not be born with herpes. It's skin to skin. So you're going to give birth to a herpes negative child.
Okay. Eddie, thank you for joining, Eddie.
Hey, Eddie.
He said, I want to disclose to someone I'm nervous for the obvious reason, but the other is wasting her time after she gets a little attached.
Yeah. So, that's why you again, when I talk about disclosure, so you say you want to do it for the obvious reason. Is that what he said? No, he's nervous for the obvious reason.
Yeah.
So Eddie, why do you want to disclose? So you want to disclose because you don't want to waste her time anymore? So give me a little bit more, and I'm going to come back to you, Eddie. But answer that, and why do you want to disclose? Because it's about the why. The why is the most important piece when you're disclosing. Because if you're disclosing because you're comfortable, you're confident, and you want to, make your partner aware, that's different from wanting to disclose to not waste somebody's time. That's going to give off two totally different energies.
So Shayna said, herpes does not live in your blood. You cannot pass it down genetically. So
absolutely right.
One of the pictures I do remember from sex education was like a baby being born from a mother of herpes, and he's like covered in herpes. That's one of the like prominent pictures that I remember. So I never knew that you could have a child and it wouldn't be born with herpes.
Absolutely right. So that is neonatal herpes, which is extremely rare. That is extremely rare. So again, most of the time you're going to have a vaginal delivery. Herpes is in your nervous system. It's not in your blood. You're not going to transmit it to your child. If you are having an outbreak at the time of your delivery, you're 9 times out of 10 going to have a C-section. Again, then the baby will not come in contact with your genital outbreak at that time. So yeah, that was just probably a rare case, because I kind of remember the picture you're talking about too, but that is very uncommon.
Freely in her piece said, my herpes outbreak looks like a paper cut. All outbreaks do not look the same.
Facts. That's another thing. We think based off the pictures, we know what a herpes outbreak looks like. Herpes outbreaks can look like a razor bump, can look like a paper cut, can look like a little indentation into the skin. There are so many different ways outbreaks can actually look. So it's so important that everybody get familiar with where and how their outbreak looks if they have them. So great point.
Maya said, I asked because my friend thinks her life is over and she wants to have children.
It's not over at all. To make sure she follows Herpes Can Never. So follow my page, follow Shayna's page, follow Herpes Can Never page. Like get the knowledge and get in the community.
Wait, I love this question from Mula. She said, so are you more likely to have an outbreak when you're stressed?
Yes. So stress lowers your immune system, right? When you're stressed, you're probably not sleeping, you're probably overthinking, you're probably, you're worked up. Stress actually has physical effects on the body. And one of those effects is lowering your immune system. And so when your immune system is lower, you're more susceptible for the virus to present itself in your body, for you to have an actual outbreak. So yes, stress could be a trigger that induces outbreaks.
So why, maybe you don't know this, but why do they call it cold sores and then they call HSV2 like herpes?
So me and Shayna were just actually talking about this, and I asked her this kind of, I kind of just probably just saying it out loud, and we Googled it. So generally, when you have your initial outbreak, you have like cold-like symptoms. A lot of people's first outbreaks, they think they have a cold, they think they have the flu, because they literally are sick like that. And then they end up usually with an outbreak, and then that's when they get it tested and figure it out. But so many people's first outbreak is accompanied with like a cold, like symptoms, right? And then it's a sore on the mouth, or it's a sore. So they just kind of put the two words together. Like when you have cold symptoms and it's a sore, it's basically like a cold sore, when it literally is HSV1. Most of the time it's going to be HSV1. So
how come when you go to the doctor, right? And you have a cold sore, they don't like act like, oh, you have HS. They don't say that.
They don't act like you have an STD. They don't act like you can't take your mouth where your cold sore is and put it on somebody's genitals and eventually transmit the virus sexually. They don't treat it like an STD when it really is. Oral herpes is an STD. It's all the same, respectfully. And a lot of people who have HSV1 or who have cold sores hate when we say that their HSV or their cold sores are STDs too, but it really is. You can transmit it onto someone's genitals.
This is very.
There is no like reason why. A lot of this stuff makes no sense. And you said it earlier in the interview. You said You see stuff on HIV, you see stuff on other STDs, but with herpes, there's so much different. There's so much different information. There's so many different places to find it. And that's another thing that Herpes Can Never is doing. Like, we are creating the one-stop place to literally find this information because no one is taking the time to put it together into one place.
The people watching, if you don't believe me, try to find it. It's very hard to find statistics on herpes. It's super hard.
Facts. It is.
And now that I'm having this conversation with you, I understand why, because big pharma has kind of made it more than what it is.
Yes, very much more.
Which is what we've seen with a million things.
Yes.
With big pharma. It just, so, but another question that I had, because, these days everyone gets waxed.
Mm-hmm.
You wax your coochie? Like, what?
Yes, regularly. Well, I did wax it regularly when I was back home, and I have a waxer in my salon. But now that I'm here in Florida, it's not been as regular, sadly. But yes, I get waxes, and you can get waxes. So if you have genital outbreaks and you're having an outbreak, or you go to your esthetician or where you get your waxes from and you fill out the questionnaire and it asks, do you have herpes? That's when you should say yes, right? Like, that's when you should say yes, because as a service provider, if I'm working in an area on your body that has outbreaks, should I have gloves on? Yes. If the waxer is doing what they're supposed to be doing, you're not going to transmit herpes in a wax pot. That's not how it works, right? That's not how it works. But you should tell your esthetician you have genital herpes. If they ask if you're having an outbreak, don't get a wax. But yes, you can absolutely get waxes.
Now, Feli 113, she said, can you get herpes on the skin outside of the genitals? Now, we did cover this, but on top of covering this, someone on my Facebook mentioned that eczema is a type of herpes. Can you talk about all of this?
No, I don't believe that's true. I'm going to say that's not. Eczema is not a HSV. Eczema is not the herpes simplex virus, unless I'm tripping. But no, as an esthetician, I would say no. So that just could be a myth, something somebody read or heard, misinformation, because it's literally any and everything on the internet.
Eczema is dermatitis, is not a type of herpes.
Eczema is dermatitis, which is not a type of herpes.
But
thank you,
Shayna, go put some clothes on so you can get on camera.
Girl.
But you did mention like people can get it anywhere, their hips,
their
right?
fingers, their thighs, their butt, their lower back.
Like when people get like warts on their fingers, that's eczema, or no?
No, that could just be that could just be a wart, right? So the only way you'll know that it's herpes is if you get it tested. Like, the only way to definitively tell if something is herpes is to get it tested. But bottom line is, you can literally have herpes anywhere. You can have it outside of your genitals. You can have it on any part of your body. So that is that's the fact. And if you want to for sure know if it's herpes or not, go get it tested.
And also, we learned earlier, you guys, that herpes is not included in the regular testing. So please, when you go to your doctors, make sure that you're asking.
Yes, exactly. Make sure you're asking.
Mula, so you guys, if you have a question, drop it in that little question.
I can't believe 41 people came back on the live.
I know, but Mula
shout out to y'all.
So can it be transmitted just by skin to skin contact? No, actually, because it can be transmitted by saliva, can it?
No, it can be transmitted by skin to skin contact. That's the only way it's transmitted, by skin to skin contact. So yeah, not by saliva. So I mean, like, people ask, can they share can they like share straws and smoke after each other? Now, if you have oral herpes and you know it, or you have outbreaks, even if you're not having an outbreak orally, like, should you probably be smoking with people? I mean, that's your discretion, but the likelihood of you getting herpes from sharing anything that you're smoking is non-existent. Like, it has to be skin to skin contact. But better safe than sorry, right?
Wow. All right. So Shayna said, did you know there's several tests for syphilis?
No, I didn't personally know that. Shayna knows all types of like
Know that either.
information.
Let me see. Somebody sent a question. Somebody sent a question, but it did not come up, you guys. I'm sorry about that.
So long story. Okay. So basically, I got the encouragement to go public with my diagnosis by coaching clients, by seeing women share their story, and they were helping me realize I wasn't alone. They were helping me realize, oh, I'm not the only person going through this. And even though I knew other people, I just felt so seen and related to. And then, like, literally, like God basically told me, he was like, Amber, share your story publicly. I already had a YouTube channel. I was already talking about, like, I talked about my abortion on there. I talked about my addiction to weed. I had talked about my relationship with my mom. I had talked about all these personal things, kind of transparent things called confession moments. And I knew the only thing I had not confessed was my herpes diagnosis. But I was like, Lord, I am going to keep this one to myself. But God put it on my heart. He was like, no, it's time to share your diagnosis. And so he told me this in like March, and I didn't make the video to the end of the year. And then, yeah, I just made this video, went public. Shayna found me less than a month later on social media, and Herpes Can Never has literally been born ever like since then.
So I did find the other question. Asia said, so based off the testing of the swab, that's the only way to know if they swab.
Yeah, they swab the area. That's the only way to know, or a blood test, which again is not 100% accurate. The only definitive way to know is to get the area tested.
But what if you don't have because you didn't have any outbreaks?
I know, exactly. And so if you don't have any outbreaks, you just should go ask for you should go pay for a full blood panel workup. And the crazy thing is you could test negative because the antibodies couldn't be in your blood, or they could your herpes could be in a dormant state, and then you could test positive 3 years from now. Like, that's why herpes they call it the sleeping virus, but it's just, but again, if you lived all this time, your life having it and not even knowing it, what does that say? Does it really affect your life that much? No, it's not the virus that affects your life that much. It's the stigma that affects your life. It's the knowing that you have it that really affects your life.
Shy Gizzy, she said, so sharing a blunt and you have HSV1, you can't spread it.
Right. Like, I would say if somebody made me say yes or no, I'm going to say no to that question. Okay. But if you have an outbreak, I wouldn't be smoking with somebody just because, like, wouldn't take that chance.
A love that's true said, my OBGYN did a biopsy when I was having an outbreak. And that's how you found out?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's probably how they found out, maybe.
This is a lot. This is a lot to take in.
Girl, I'm so glad you wanted to talk about this. We obviously gonna need a part 2. Like, I feel like we're gonna need a part 2.
Yes.
We're gonna make sure Shayna's gonna come too.
With you and Shayna.
Yes. Absolutely. So, absolutely.
I'm so happy that you joined me. And like we said, we're gonna do a part 2, you guys.
Yes, y'all.
This is information that we need.
And conversation and relatability. And again, I just want to let anybody know, if you have herpes, follow myself and go to follow, and then you're going to be able to find Shayna's page and Herpes Can Never page. We have a private Facebook group with over 3,000 members. It grows every single day, and that's where a community is really being built. We call our community the Cousins, and we have literally group therapy every single Thursday. So we have it tomorrow night on Zoom, and the cousins come and we talk and we work through stuff and we heal together. And so we're really about breaking the stigma. So if you have herpes, join our community. Just watch the videos. Shayna has like over 200 videos on YouTube talking about herpes. I have a ton of videos on YouTube talking about herpes. Her platform on TikTok is huge. She's the herpes goddess. She has a ton of resources. And so there's free resources. There's paid resources. If you want to learn how to disclose, we have a whole ebook on it. If you want to learn how to manage your outbreaks without taking antivirals, we have an ebook on it. If you want to know what products to use on your outbreak, we have products. So everything that you need to manage your herpes from the outside in is available by going to the link in our bio. I just wanted to say that too. Yes, and YouTube.
Thank you, Dave. Dave said, why only until 10? Because my lives usually go longer. You guys.
Oh, do they? Oh, they want more?
No, only until 10 today, but we're going to do a part 2 with Amber and Shayna.
Yes.
Matter of fact, find an outfit.
Yes, she's gotta have some clothes on. We got to, yes, we will be ready. So we'll communicate. You and I'll communicate. We'll message and coordinate when we're gonna set up part 2, so we can give everybody enough notice so where they can plan on watching again. But we will love to come back.
Yes, thank you so much, you guys. And you guys have a great night. I'm going to finish my wine.
Yes, enjoy. Thank you so much for asking the questions, for creating the space, for showing the interest, for being, so many people avoid the topic and don't even want to talk about it, don't even want to bring anybody on to talk about it.
Girl,
so just thank you for this space, for real.
Thank you for your courage. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, Herpes Can Never. I just need to let everybody know that now, and we're going to see y'all for part 2, okay? Y'all have a blessed night.
Good
Thank
night,
you. Good night.